Hey everyone, welcome back. So for today's video I've got a requested one and it is basically things I knew before I went to university slash like first year uni tips, freshers uni tips, whatever you want to call it. You might be watching this if you've come straight over from my room tour, my university room tour. If you are, hello, welcome to my channel. Feel free to subscribe down below for more videos. And you know, more of me. You guys didn't know already, I did go to uni. I went to Salford University in Manchester, or the University of Salford, and I was there for 3.5 months before I dropped out. Now, I'm not going to be discussing about why I dropped out, the reasons behind it, anything like that, because I have mentioned it in a previous video. I might do like a whole video on it, but for now I will just leave a link down below if you really want to find out why I left. Nothing to do with the uni, so if you're watching this and you're going to Salford Uni, don't be put off because I left. It was completely my decision and it was nothing to do with the uni itself. The uni I actually really loved. I loved the campus, I loved the accommodation. It was a really great uni, so if you are going there or you're looking at going there, please, please, please don't let this video impact your decision. Essentially, I'm just going to tell you my experience, things I wish I knew before I went, bits and bobs like that. So, I'm a ginge now. Wow. Well, I say gone back to a ginger. I'll insert a photo here. I actually used to be very ginger with like big curly hair when I was little, and then I started dyeing it from the age of 14, but I've now dyed myself back to the roots. I feel a little bit like Tiffany Butcher, which I kind of love. So I've got my phone here and I have literally wrote down so many tips, you guys. I've tried to sort of collaborate them into topics, but this video could be really long because it's going to be a super chatty one. So, you know, grab a drink, it's hot outside, grab a Fanta lemonade, grab a cider, or well, you know, if you're old enough. So the first topic I'm going to discuss is money planning and prioritising. Now, bear with me because I know that when I was watching videos on uni and uni advice, what it's like to go to uni, what it's like to be a first year, whatever, anytime that any of them would talk about money, I would literally skip the video because I used to be so bored. But I promise you, please, please listen to some of my advice. I have gone through it. I've been a fresher. I know some people might look and think, you know, you weren't there for too long, but I was there through the whole sort of new period. I lived 4 hours away from home and I know exactly what it's like. Essentially, before I went to uni, I was somebody who thought that my first semester on the run up to Christmas would literally be a trial run. So I thought when I got my money, when I got my student loan, I would just experiment with it. I would see, you know, I'm in a new place. I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna see how I go with my money. I'm not gonna budget, I'm just gonna go for it. Now, that was so wrong. So if you're planning to do it, please, please don't, because you'll end up like me, learn from my experience. I think like 3 weeks before Christmas, or the break to Christmas anyway, my parents had to pay for my food shopping. I had no money. I couldn't get Ubers. I couldn't get like buses and things. I literally had zero money. If you're gonna learn anything from me, budget. It's so important. My advice would be, personally, budget after freshers, because freshers week, whether you drink or not, you're undoubtedly going to spend a lot of money, whether that's like going out for food with flatmates or going to events, you know, like clubs and pubs and drinking. Like, freshers is obviously a lot of social activity and it costs a lot of money. And then it's always good to budget after freshers because you just never know what you'll spend in freshers. I'm going to move on to like a massive thing about freshers week and events in a little bit. But just for the money wise, I probably wouldn't budget for freshers because you probably will go over. I definitely did. I think I spent like, I want to say like over £200 in freshers week, and I didn't even go out every day, so there we are. Some things that I think is definitely worth planning is your weekly shop. So obviously it does take you a few weeks to get into the swing of a weekly shop. One thing I would definitely recommend is doing a weekly shop when you first move up. Before you leave, I would really recommend buying a bulk load of dry food, whether that be like pasta or like baked beans, tinned tomatoes, like tinned things, basically things with like a long lasting shelf life, because it will save you so much money in the long run. I was very fortunate because me and my mum and my dad massively prepared. Like, I had a huge list of stuff. I don't think I could have taken more with me. We literally filled the car. I packed loads of pasta. My uncle and my auntie also gave me loads and loads of pasta bits and like pasta sauces, basically things that would last me a really long time. And I still had pasta packets from that literally until the day I left, so it really is worth it. Only try to organise your food shop, you know, allocate yourself an amount per week. As you're there, as you sort of like adjust to living on your own, you will obviously learn to buy things, and it sort of depends what flat you're in as well. If you're in a really sociable flat, or you know, you're very good friends with people in your flat, you might end up like sharing food or sharing meals, so you won't have to spend as much. So that's definitely something that you have to learn as you go to uni. But I would definitely recommend allocating yourself some money per week. Next thing is pre-booking transport home. Now, it all really depends on whether or not you're somebody that wants to go home a lot, whether you're close with your family. For me, that was a big thing. I wanted to go home regularly, and I did. I went home pretty much every 2 weeks, which, as you can imagine, from Manchester down to a small town in the southwest, you know, 4+ hour train journey, 5+ hour coach journey was expensive. So for me, I tried to pre-book some transport home. I think literally when I went to uni, I booked a coach home for 2.5 weeks because I knew that I wanted to go home soon, but not too soon. Basically enough time to adjust to where I'm living, but not get too homesick. I promise you, pre-booking those before you go to uni, or you know, when you sort of get your first student loan, is so worth it, because there is nothing worse than wanting to visit home and you literally can't afford it. And I know personally from me and like experiences that my friends have had, that the amount of money you have really does impact whether or not you go home and see your family. And I'm just such a believer in you should go home. You should always go home. Your home is your home at the end of the day. Uni is amazing and it's fun and you make so many memories, but your home is always your home. Funny thing actually was my nan actually gave me an emergency £50 and that was for transport home, and thanks nan, because I did use that and it was very handy. So even if you do something like that, just like an emergency bit of money that you can use, whether that literally be for food shopping or transport, it's just really worth keeping it by. The thing is bus passes as well. Now this can all depend on where you're going to uni, whether or not you're on a campus or you're in a city. Me personally, although it was a campus uni, Salford is part of Greater Manchester and most of the clubs and things were in the centre of Manchester, so I would have saved so much money if I just got a bus pass. I got so many Ubers, and Ubers are quite cheap, but when you're getting them regularly, like I would get them to visit my boyfriend, and I would get them to go food shopping, and I would get them to go to nights out and go to McDonald's and all this stuff, they really add up. So I would definitely recommend looking at a bus pass. I know my uni organised like a free bus that went into town as well, so it's really worth sort of checking out your surroundings, know what's going on, look for bus passes and things like that. Basically anything that's going to save you money. I'm going to talk a little bit about Freshers Week because I think Freshers Week is like the one thing that either really worries people or really excites people. In my personal experience, I really enjoyed Freshers. I do remember having like fond memories of Freshers and having a really good time. I think one thing to pretty much accept when you go to uni is that Freshers will be expensive and you will spend a lot of money and you will, you know, undoubtedly have a hangover if you drink. I do want to say as well that if you don't drink, that is absolutely fine. I had 2 people in my flat that didn't drink at all and they still went out and did fun things. They went to fireworks nights, they had like pizza nights in. Like, don't, if you're watching this, worry if you're not a drinker or you're somebody that doesn't like to go out and club, because you will undoubtedly find a lot of people that do that. But I also met a lot of people that didn't drink and didn't enjoy doing stuff like that, and you can still be social, you can still have a good time in Freshers. Okay, I'm really sorry if my position's changed. My parents just got me downstairs to help put up a gazebo. As I was saying, unis do put on a lot of Freshers events, they put on a lot of Freshers fairs. I would really recommend going to those because you can join societies, you can meet new people. It's a really good thing to get involved in. If you guys did watch my video on why I dropped out of uni, one of the reasons was definitely because I didn't have the best social experience. And I definitely would have met a lot more people and sort of broadened my like social life, I guess, if I got involved in more sports and more societies and sort of met more people. So please take every opportunity you can to meet anybody. Even if you become really good friends with your flat or really good friends with somebody on your course, you can never have too many friends at uni is what I can say. Like, you could have the best experience within your flat, but don't limit yourself. Make friends with everybody because it's so good to have so many different groups of friends to do things with, basically. Make friends with everyone. Yeah, that's probably like my number 1 tip. Don't just limit yourself towards your flat and your course because there are so many people that you can meet. What I wanted to talk about Freshers is the wristbands, because a lot of people will always get your wristbands. You will undoubtedly see people advertising for wristbands in your area. Now again, it does depend on what uni you go to. Obviously smaller unis won't have as many events going on, but if you are going to a large city, so like Manchester for me, there were so many events. I can almost pretty much guarantee that if you are going to a big city, there will be more than one wristband. Now I chose personally not to get a wristband, and I would definitely recommend not getting one until you've at least spoken to your flatmates or people that you know that you're already going to uni with. This is when you take full advantage of Facebook groups and Facebook pages. We had like a University of Salford like first year page, and I managed to meet quite a lot of my flatmates in that and my course mates. So I would definitely take full advantage of those, find out some people that are in your flat if you can, and sort of see what they're doing. If everyone in your flat or the people that you are gonna sort of mingle with first are getting a wristband, then I would get one. But honestly, a lot of the people that I met didn't have wristbands, and those who did didn't even go to the events because not everyone went and they weren't very big. It isn't sponsored, but an app I would really recommend is Fatsoma. So Fatsoma is basically an app, and it will tell you about club events, pub events in your area. So I use this all the time when I'm at uni. I mean, I still have it on my phone now for when I go on nights out, well, after lockdown. You can often get early bird tickets as well. So there was a club called Factory in Manchester. If you guys are from Manchester, you might know it. And it's quite like a student-y club. If you go in there, you're always going to see students. And it was really, really cheap. And I remember we literally got like free entry once because we had the Fatsoma app. So it's so handy to have. On Fatsoma, you can find wristbands. What did I do? I did like a UV paint party. I did like a zoo party. Like, you can find them all on there. And I will almost guarantee that it is cheaper to buy the singular tickets than it is to buy the whole wristband, because the wristbands are really expensive. Another thing to remember as well is when you are in freshers, you're not always going to want to go out. Like, obviously if you don't drink, you're definitely not going to want to, but even me, like, I love to go out, I love to go clubbing, and I love like just having fun with my friends. And even I got a little bit tired of going out every night, and I had a night in. So it's always important as well that if you are getting a wristband, most of the wristbands have an event every night of the week, and most of the time that doesn't happen. And or one thing that I wish I knew before going to uni is not to overpack. Now I feel like this is again a really cliche one that a lot of people say in videos, but it really is true. Especially if you're like me, because I did overpack. And when it actually came to leaving uni and moving back home, oh my, I literally had to make like 2 trips. I think, yeah, I made 2 trips up to Manchester to get my stuff. And I had to carry it all on a coach, which wasn't fun. Clothes wise, I took loads, essentials, and then what you don't have that you want, you can just buy up there, because I had so much stuff. Like, I took all my nail polishes, I took loads of like skincare stuff that I never used, and it was just sat up there in my room, and it just literally cluttered up space. And for anyone that has, you know, visited uni accommodation, or you have lived in uni halls before, you guys will know that the rooms aren't always the biggest, and they can easily get really cluttered, especially when there's not a lot of storage. So don't overpack if you really don't have to. Next topic I want to talk about is homesickness. Now guys, you're looking at the queen of homesickness. I struggled so badly with homesickness, and I won't lie, it sort of kicks in for everybody at different stages, which is something that I did see on YouTube on a video before. Sometimes it can affect you straight away and you feel really rubbish. I will definitely say that I really did surprise myself with homesickness. I dealt with it a lot better than I thought I would, especially at the beginning. I expected myself to be crazy homesick and just want to go home. Originally when I went up to uni, there was about 3 or 4 days before my boyfriend went back to uni. So 3 or 4 days essentially where I was, you know, on my own without anyone that I knew, and I just thought that I was going to really struggle and find it really hard, because I'm very close with my family, and yeah, it was a big change for me to go to uni anyway, let alone like 4 hours away. So the fact that I even did that, I'm really proud of myself. For the first 2-3 weeks I was absolutely fine. Freshers week I was kept so busy to the point where I actually sort of looked forward to time on my own, which is not like me. If you guys know me, I'm such a people person. I love to be around people, I love to be busy, so for me to want to have time on my own and time to do nothing, was definitely saying something. I wanted to give you guys some tips about homesickness because I know that that is something that does really put people off going to uni, and a lot of people can struggle with. So my first thing is to just try visit home regularly. Now I know it's not always feasible, I know it's a lot of money, and I know, like I said before, that people are put off by paying for transport. But if you do like what I said earlier and you pre-book, it will save you a lot of money, and I'm sure your parents or your family won't mind helping you out. Mine certainly helped out with a lot of train tickets, so I will always thank them for that. Another thing is FaceTime. FaceTime is an amazing thing, especially at the minute with lockdown. I'm using FaceTime a lot, and yeah, FaceTime is great because you can see their face, you can hear their voice. Sometimes that's all you need. You just need like that little bit of reassurance. So FaceTime is amazing. Next is care packages. Now this one is a little bit random, but this was definitely something that I loved. So my mum did this a few times for me. She did it at Christmas just before I came home. She sent me this beautiful care package. A Christmas tree in it, it had tinsel, it had chocolate, like it was so lovely. And it made my flat feel so much more homely. Another sort of form of care package that I had was my mum and me actually had access to like our own like Asda online order, because I used to get a lot of my food shopping delivered when I didn't have much money, and my mum would sometimes order me some food as a surprise, and she would put in stuff that I used to have when I was little, like turkey dinosaurs and smiley faces and like fun stuff like that, and that is also such like a really lovely homely feeling, and it's just that sense of reassurance. And I feel like when you feel homesick, things like that really do help. This topic is cooking. Now cooking is a controversial one, because, you know, I feel like it's such a cliche that students can't cook. I added to that cliche. I definitely improved cooking at uni. Uni itself obviously helps with your independence massively. I will 100% say that I grew up so much at uni, especially because I did struggle being there and things. It definitely did mature me as a person, and definitely did improve my cooking. My dad is actually a qualified chef, so you'd think that I would be good, but I'm not. So one thing I do want to say is cooking is a lot easier than you think. Now you don't need to cook like masses of meals and, you know, like really fancy dishes and stuff like that. You can literally just cook the basics. Full on, I probably lived off carbs the whole time I was there, like frozen chips, jacket potatoes I had loads of, pasta I lived off. I'd probably have that like 3 or 4 times a week. They're not hard to cook. Pasta is an absolute staple, so that's a really good one. Eggs and things are really easy. I had a lot of toast. I had a toasty machine actually, which a lot of people in my flat used. Something else I would say as well is I can pretty much guarantee that there'll be hopefully at least one person in your flat that is a good cook. Pretty much the majority of the people in my flat were really good at cooks. Like they were making their own like chilli, which might sound really easy to some of you, but for me, no. You know, they were making their own chilli, like roast dinners, like really good meals. So, you know, me with my like ready-made pasta packet didn't quite fit in, but there is always going to be someone that can teach you to cook and teach you how to do things. One of the girls in my flat pretty much taught me how to cook chicken and make sure that I'm doing it properly, which might sound really simple to some of you, but for me, I wasn't a good cook. Being on your own will motivate you to cook, but there will always be people around you in your flat that can help you out, and you can ask for some advice. And if you don't trust their advice, just FaceTime your mum, because that's what I did. Next thing is sort of prep for uni. Now this again is something that I wish I knew before I went to uni, and which I did a lot more of. Thing is, please if you can, especially if you're moving away, go and visit the uni. It is so important. There were so many people in my year that would just pick a uni and never even visited it, never went to the accommodation and just went, and it completely blew my mind, because if you're living there, you want to know what it looks like. I went up to Salford twice, I think, and I visited Manchester regularly anyway because my boyfriend was up there, so I knew the city well, and I knew where I was going, and I literally can't imagine not knowing the uni. So please if you haven't already, go visit the uni, go get a feel of where it is. It's so important. Next thing I wish I knew is please take full advantage of your surroundings. One thing that I didn't do during Freshers Week was I was too busy trying to be social and meet people and go out and stuff that I didn't really explore my campus, which does then come to bite you when you need to use facilities. So for example, I didn't know where the on-campus doctor's surgery was, so when I had to use that was a massive, like, I just didn't know what I was doing. I didn't really know much about the library, so when it comes to me using the library for some books for my course, I literally didn't know how to use the library. There was like 3 floors, it was very confusing. Buildings in general, I was very lucky that somebody that I was friends with in another flat, somebody in their flat that was on my course, which meant that when I first started going to lectures and seminars and things, I had somebody to walk with and she knew exactly what she was doing. I was lucky in that way. But I wish that I'd sort of had the independence to go and check out the buildings and where all my lectures were held, because when it come to me actually going on my own when I was running late, I had no idea where I was going. So just take full advantage. They usually will give you like a map in like a freshers starter pack sort of thing. Just go and have a little explore. Even if you do it with your flat, it's quite like a nice like bonding thing to do. But overall, I think it's just important to remember that you do not know what uni's going to be like until you go. Like I said before, uni is a different experience for everybody. Everyone will have a different experience. Some people will love it, some people will hate it, and as horrible and as blatant as this is, you just won't know until you go. And the last thing I wanted to touch upon, just to sort of finish off the whole topic, is some things I literally couldn't live without during my first few months at uni. Now, I'm hoping this will help you guys in some form of a checklist, which is something I do recommend. Please do make a checklist of things you will need. It will help you out, you won't get confused. Be a bit organised like me, designate it into bags. I did a lot of that. The first thing I literally couldn't live without is slippers. Now this one does seem like an obvious one. I nearly didn't even buy them. It was my mum that advised me to. So I had some of the memory foam ones from Primark. They're literally like £3. And I lived in them. Now, I'm not a slipper person at home. I never wear slippers, apart from on Christmas Day when my mum buys me them. Like, I just don't wear slippers. Slippers, sliders, anything that's comfortable that you don't mind sort of wearing around the flat is so important, because you will probably live with people that aren't very tidy, aren't very hygienic. You know, the kitchen floor gets really dirty. And I don't know, there's something about wearing slippers that makes me feel a little bit more clean and a bit hygienic and more comfortable. So I literally lived in my slippers. Thing is a wardrobe storage holder. Now, I feel like I've not really explained it properly, so I will try and insert a picture of one here. I had a fabric one from Poundland. It was literally £3. And it was a lifesaver. Of course, I will link down below my room tour if you guys haven't watched it, because you will see it within the video, as well as all the other things that I had in my room. If you guys have been to uni, you will know that the wardrobes aren't very big. They're very small. They're practically cupboards, and this just saved me so much room. It was really easy to organise my clothes as well. I had a lot of pyjamas on there and like gym wear, and I could just organise them by shelf, and it saved me so much room, and they are so cheap. Please buy one if you're going to uni. I obviously said to you guys about hangers earlier. Hangers was something that my mum bought for me because I didn't even think, and I think I took 20 hangers with me, and that was just not enough. I ended up having to bring some hangers from home, so this is your reminder: if you don't have hangers, get some hangers, because they're really cheap. I think I got mine from like B&M or Poundland or something, but they are literal lifesavers. That is pretty much everything I've got to say. I feel like I've covered everything that I need to about some freshers advice, my experience, and tips and tricks that I really want to share with you all. There are, of course, going to be some questions that you guys might have watching this. If you have any questions, please ask me down below. I will reply. I will give you a reply as soon as I can. I just want to help you guys out. Somebody that's been and gone from uni and has, you know, had that freshers experience, even though it's for a few months, I know exactly what it's like to feel homesick, to move away from home, to meet new people, to be in freshers week, to be a uni student essentially. And I just want to use my experience to help you guys as much as I can. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please make sure to give it a big thumbs up if you did enjoy, and I will see you all very soon in my next video. Bye!